Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Historical Women in Crisis. One of my viewers wanted me to do another installment in the Historical Women in Crisis series. And for this installment in the Historical Women in Crisis series, I'm going to be talking about Leticial Stauch, who was convicted of the murder of her stepson Gannon.
Live at 9 a.m., I'm Kelly Worthman. Today, jury selection begins for Leticial Stauch's murder trial. She is accused of killing her stepson Gannon Stauch in 2020. This trial is finally beginning after years of delays. In 2020, an attorney for Stauch requested a second mental health evaluation after Stauch allegedly plotted to escape from jail in El Paso County. By 2021, Stauch decided to represent herself in court, despite a judge insisting she'd be better off with a lawyer. Stauch was granted time to use the jail library to prepare for her case. Well, then she lost those privileges after refusing to use her scheduled time in the library. Kennedy Cook is following today's developments. And Kennedy, certainly a lot has happened in the last 3 years since Gannon was killed.
Yes, that is correct, Kelly. Now, this all began when Gannon's stepmom, Leticial Stauch, first reported him as a runaway in 2020. Now, that later turned into a missing and endangered persons case and then developed into a murder case when his body was discovered in Florida. Now, Leticial Stauch is charged with first-degree murder, child abuse resulting in death, and tampering with a deceased body. She has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity in Gannon's death, but doctors at the State Mental Hospital say Stauch is competent to stand trial. Additional evidence from El Paso County deputies show Leticia's DNA was found on a gun connected with Gannon's death. Gannon's blood was also found on her shoe. Now, during the time of this investigation, we heard from Gannon's mother, who says her child did not deserve this.
Justice will be served, and I'll make sure that justice is served because my boy did not deserve any of this.
Jury selection began just a few minutes ago. However, prosecutors are not expected to begin presenting evidence in this case until April 3rd. Now, we've seen the delays over the past years, and now that they're getting picked back up, we'll be sure to keep an eye on it.
All right, Kennedy, thanks for following this for us this morning.
Now, Leticial Stauch is infamously known as the wicked stepmother who allegedly took the life of her stepson Gannon Stauch in 2020. Now, Leticial Stauch had been married to Gannon Stauch's father, Albert Stauch, in 2015, and they were looking to have a blended family where Albert Stauch, who had gotten custody of his son Gannon, was looking to build a home with Leticial Stauch and her daughter from another relationship. Now, as they were looking to build this home, basically what happened was Leticial Stauch was simmering and boiling in a lot of anger, and she was simmering and boiling in a lot of anger, similar to the way beta male stepfathers wind up simmering and boiling in anger because they can't really run the home that they want. And since they can't run the home that they want because another man's children are inside of that home, that's what basically leads to these people seething with anger. And what happened here was that basically Leticial Stauch harbored a lot of anger towards Gannon Stauch because Gannon Stauch basically represented the fact that he had a child by another woman, and that woman was still basically involved in their life, and they were having and that woman was still having visitation with her son. So she could not go out here and actively run that household the way she wanted. And since she couldn't run that household the way she wanted because Gannon Stauch was basically still up in her home, and her mother and his mother was still in the life of Albert Stauch, this is what basically was possibly, I believe, the motive for this woman looking to participate in this crime and take the life of Gannon Stauch, where she wanted to again get this child out of her home. She basically wanted to get this child out of her home so that she could have a smooth world, and that's what basically led to her planning the murder of Gannon Stauch, where she viciously and violently assaulted this little 11-year-old boy, and after assaulting him with multiple weapons, then allegedly wound up shooting this boy in the face. And on that day, in May 5th of 2020, she wound up killing this boy, stabbing him 18 times, hit him in the head with an object, and then shot him in the face with a handgun. Then, after she wound up again taking the life of this 11-year-old boy, she then wound up cleaning up the crime scene, then disposed of the body in a suitcase where she basically buried the body. And then after she buried the body, she then went out here, made false police reports saying that the boy was sick and stayed home from school that day, and then said that she basically, again, the boy ran away from home. And after she said the boy ran away from home, then police were looking for the boy. But then eventually what happened was that the boy was found. He was found not in Colorado, where Leticial Stauch was living, but was found 1,300 miles away under a bridge in Florida, where Leticial Stauch had basically driven the boy's body that she put inside of a suitcase. She drove that body all the way to Florida, then threw the body in the suitcase over the bridge, and that's where they found the body of Gannon Stauch. And after finding the body of Gannon Stauch, this is where police started to look to do an investigation as related to this crime, and that's where they started to listen to the stories of Leticial Stauch, which changed constantly as related to this story, to the murder of Gannon Stauch. First, she said that the boy was kidnapped. Then she said that the boy basically, again, stuff happened to him. And then she tried to go out here and then eventually looked to try to, after evidence pointed to her, looked to go out here and not just confess to the crime, but looked to go out here and look to make a defense, saying that she basically was insane. She looked to make a defense to say that she was insane as related to alleged sexual abuse and dissociative identity disorder due to that abuse. However, as she continued to make all these inconsistent stories, she basically, again, wasn't making any sense. She even went out here and accused her husband of being involved in Gannon's death, connecting him to drug cartels and trafficking rings. However, in spite of her efforts to try to put up a defense to say insanity, she basically wound up being seen as competent to stand trial, and was seen as competent to stand trial, and wound up being put on trial for the murder of Gannon Stauch. And eventually what happened was that even though she tried to play this defense, it didn't work at all, because this woman wasn't insane at all. No, basically what happened here was that this woman was extremely jealous, and as she was extremely jealous of this other woman that Albert Stauch had married, she was jealous of the fact that she had to deal with this woman and this woman's son, and that was the motive for this woman possibly looking to commit this murder of Gannon Stauch. She was angry because, again, she could not have the household that she basically wanted, because when it comes down to many women, they want to be able to build their nest, and they want to be able to build their nest their way. And what happened here was that as this single mother got involved with this single father, she basically wanted to rule her own home, and that was the thing that I believe, again, motivated her for murder, motivated her to go out here and participate in murder, like I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis, because when it comes down to modern women, again, they want everything to go their way, and if things don't go their way, then they believe they have a right to go out here and break the law to make things go their way. And with Leticial Stauch, what she wanted to do was go out here and look to, again, have the smooth world where she didn't have to deal with Albert Stauch's children. She didn't have to deal with Albert Stauch's ex-wife. But the whole thing is, if she wanted that kind of thing, she basically should have just married a man with no children. But instead of marrying a man with no children, this woman in crisis basically knew that since she was a single mother, she didn't have many options, and basically married this guy because she couldn't find any other guy who would deal with a single mother. And what happened here was this single mother, as she was in this home, basically, again, participated in one of the most heinous crimes in the history of Colorado. She basically, again, took the life of this 11-year-old boy during the whole COVID pandemic, and then as she took the life of this boy, then disposed of his body by putting it, again, in a secluded area in Colorado, then drove to a different place where she basically, again, went out here and took the body to Florida. And all of this was captured by surveillance video, so this was basically an open and shut case. But this woman thought that she could, again, pull one on people. She thought she could pull one on people because she thought she was female. She thought she was pretty. Like I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis, about crime in the woman crisis. A lot of women think that they can, again, pull these type of crimes and get away with them because of their looks, like Casey Anthony wound up doing. But in the case of Leticial Stauch, she wasn't able to get away because the evidence was overwhelming and insurmountable. And with the evidence being completely overwhelming as related to the crime that she committed, that's where this woman became a woman in crisis. And again, this woman in crisis now has been convicted of the death of this 11-year-old boy. And now she's been, again, imprisoned in jail. She's been in jail she's been given a life sentence for the rest of her life. And now she's in the prison with Betty, Martha, Big Lou, and Miss Bubbles, and is possibly being traded for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, off-brand grape drink, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand orange drink, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand mango drink, off-brand kiwi strawberry drink, off-brand apple juice, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand vanilla wafers, off-brand ginger snaps, Hunt's snack pack puddings, Fritos chips, Doritos chips, hot flamin' Cheetos, packets of soy sauce, packets of sriracha sauce, packets of honey mustard, beef jerky with cheese, beef jerky with mozzarella cheese, basic and hot and sour pickles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. They're possibly going out here playing spades games to possibly get a lick of the atomic waste from the special place on this chick, who basically, again, deserves every day that she spends in prison for taking the life of this innocent child, taking the life of an innocent child who had absolutely nothing to do with the whole situation regarding his parents. All this 11-year-old boy was doing was, again, trying to be in the custody of his father, and this woman, again, looked to take his life so that she could make her life smooth. Again, she wanted to go out here and have a fiefdom where she could go out here and, again, have her kids be the ones that were basically seen as the ones that were important. And again, she felt like she couldn't be important as related to that whole relationship. And that's the motive for murder, again, that I believe happened here. Because again, women get jealous of other women, and they get more jealous of the children of other women. And that's where this woman looked to participate in this crime, a crime that basically took a woman who was basically a single mom and took that woman and turned her into a woman in crisis. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can drop a donation for $15 to the PayPal or the Cash App, and if I know something about that subject, I'll make that video for you. And if you want to learn more about what motivates women to participate in antisocial behavior like this, or how to avoid antisocial women like this, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA, from the Black Boule, in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.